Mhm. Look at me so intensely.
That's me.
Huh?
That's just me.
Disarming me.
I disarm you.
Yeah.
I should disarm you?
No,
Or
it's like you intentionally disarmed me a little bit. So today we're talking about what men really want from women and what women really want from men, because it seems like there is an epidemic of lonely women and lonely men in the world. There's a story that there are just no good men, and men who are also having the story, I think, that there are not good women. So we want to shed some light on what's happening and also create some opportunities to connect and understand each other better, right? So
Mhm. So, how did you find out that I'm a high value man? If I am.
if I am. Yeah, I think that term high value is interesting because it's also like, where does the value come from? Is it who gives the value? Is it value from getting validation from outside, or is it value because of who you are within yourself? And I think for me, what I found valuable in you was only really revealed after a bit of time, because it's easy to say the right things and to, you know, be good looking, to pull out the stops on dates, to do things like that. But it's not easy to follow through with what you say you're going to do. It's not easy to maintain safety and connection and communication. And these were the things that I felt that, yeah, in the beginning, it was clear. I never felt confused. You were very clear about your intentions and your integrity. And yeah, also another thing was the mission. So you were clear on your why with your work. So it wasn't
Mhm.
just about making loads of money, which is fine and it's great, but it was rooted towards becoming the father that you want to be.
Mm.
And you told me that on day two
Mm.
when you fell in love with me at the
Maybe
cafe.
too early. But then we did have conversations about that before, obviously, before we went on record. And what you described kind of reminds me of that conversation that we had a couple of days before, where I said to you there is like maybe there's two stages in which you find out what kind of value someone has.
Mm,
And the first stage might still be like you assume that someone has high value, surface level high
yeah.
value. And then there's the real value that someone brings. I think maybe people just confuse these two sometimes.
Hmm.
So like how do you know and
Mm,
find out whether it is real or it's just something that, yeah, they're good at playing with and it's a mask that they like to put on?
hmm.
How do you identify that? What is the timeline? What is the
I
process?
I think for women, and this is what I always say also in the workshops and in the challenge, is that it's about pace and consistency with men. You can't reveal, is you literally have to wait and see. You have to see if there's consistency and if there's a pacing, if you're honoring your own pacing as a woman and you're not rushing
Hmm.
and you don't feel a sense of urgency, then
Mhm.
you're able to actually see him for who he is, not who you want him to be. And if you keep intimacy off the cards until you have that clarity on if he is a high value man for you, then it will save a lot of disappointment, I think. because once that happens, things get clouded.
Mhm. So what are the what are for you how would you name the specific things that a man need to bring
Hmm.
to be of high value versus someone is of low value?
Yeah. So we spoke a little bit about the mission.
Mhm.
That for me is always really important because that generates respect from me. I cannot call someone high value if I don't respect them and think they're a really like inspiring person. So, there's a mission. And then
When we speak about mission,
mm,
does it mean I mean people can be on a mission and they make good good money and
mhm,
they're successful at what they do. Is it enough for me to just know like, okay, I'm making enough money and I'm doing well in what I do, regardless of how I do it? Or is there something else?
yeah, good question. So it's like connection to God, something bigger through the mission. So it's not necessarily like you have to be some kind of like spiritual healer, but it's that is that ultimately it has the highest intention. It's not just for egoic purposes. It's not just to massage the ego and be like I'm the big guy and to there's many men who get lost in making lots of money because they feel inherently that they're not enough and it's coming from the wrong energy, the wrong place versus being in devotion to your mission, to something bigger. And like you'd said, and it is for you, it's about creating the environment, creating the circumstances, providing for a family
Mm,
and becoming the father that you want to be.
mhm.
So for me, that generated respect and it made me soften, made me relax.
So as a man, because I know that's a thought that would come up for any man, is like a man has a hard time believing that. So like a
Mm,
lot of men will be like, okay, so you're telling me that it's more important to have a strong why than the amount of money and the amount of success that I bring right now.
hmm.
To what degree is that true or untrue? Is there something in the middle of like, okay, that's true for as long as you still are able to provide X, Y, and Z? Or is it like it's always true? It's always more important to be of integrity with the mission and have something bigger that you strive for than the actual amount of money that you have in your bank account.
Well, if a woman is only okay with you if you if you have a certain amount of money in the bank account, she's just with you for the money. It's not a relationship for the soul. If a woman is with you for you, she's invested in you and who you are, no matter what storms come and what money is in your bank. So yes, it's nice when that's there and it feels great, but it's not the prerequisite. And I think it's a bit, if men put value on that, it's like women putting value on their youth. These things always change, they fluctuate, or at least like aging doesn't fluctuate, it goes in a clear direction. But it's like, um, it feels like a superficial layer of worthiness
Mm, mhm,
and it will only last
mm,
for as long as there's money in the bank account, for as long as there's no wrinkles or signs of aging.
mm, hmm. Okay. So interrupt you there. You said mission.
Mm.
What are the other attributes?
Sexual containment is a huge one.
What's it be?
That means that you're not sat at a cafe or a restaurant with a guy and he's looking at the girl across from you thinking about the next best thing. It's a feeling of safety that you get when you're with a man who is not repressing his sexual vitality, but he's in control of it. It makes you feel as a woman that you can trust him.
And how do you differentiate between someone who's just suppressing their sexual energy, and a person who's very well contained sexually.
Mhm.
Because it's like apathy
Yeah.
to like almost like enlightenment, where you're like detached and you're like, you know what, I'm good, life can happen. And then the other side is like the exact opposite, like
Yeah,
lack of
yeah.
energy of like,
There's like leakiness and then repressed, right? I've seen both. I've seen both of those
together in one.
expressions. No, in different, definitely in different. But what I would say is the guy who was repressed and said it was contained, he was so uptight. He was so rigid, so much energy going into keeping all of this energy inside. And it's not just about the sexuality looking at other women, that's also creative energy. It's also his his life force. So you can feel that. You can just feel it as a woman. If you're connected and contained in your own energy, you know how to recognize that in someone else.
Mm, mhm, makes sense. Okay. So then it's a good mirror for where you're at. So probably like if you struggle with your own containment, you will probably not see you have blind spots around a guy who's not able to contain his own
Yeah.
emotion.
When I was still working out my own sexual containment, I attracted a guy who was extremely controlling and repressed because we
Oh, okay.
outsource. I believe we outsource what
So it's
we've
the
not
opposite.
yet integrated ourselves.
So it's the opposite. You don't attract something that you have a blind spot in so much, but you attract the opposite to kind of see like the
Compensate.
to compensate for it. Oh yeah.
I believe so, at least in my experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A bit like the polarity, we could say, like with reverse
Mm-hmm.
polarity, isn't it? So we see this typical thing with the women that I work with is women who are so strong, so powerful, they're capable and they're emotionally attuned, and therefore they lead a lot, they initiate a lot, they guide a lot, and that's why they end up being with men who don't step up, with
Mm-hmm.
men who are avoidant or one foot in and one foot out, because they're by default
Mm-hmm.
it's they're doing what the men are doing, what the woman's not actually able to, which is to drop back
Mm-hmm.
and receive and just lay back and go with the flow.
Mm. Just like in any dynamic, right? Like there's like this, I don't know, like it, there's studies been made about like kids in a classroom where people always fall into a specific role
Mm,
to just keep the dynamic alive. It's always the same people. Like you have, like there has to be one person who's like a little bit of a clown. There's another person who's just very much like trying to be good boy or good girl. And then there's other people who are just playing different roles, and it's the same in a relationship too. And polarity, of course, like amplifies everything.
mm.
Yeah, interesting. Well, what are the other things um, that you've seen in high value men that are important to you personally?
Is integrity. So that means that he's a man of his word. And of course, we're all human in the sense that sometimes we forget or sometimes life gets busy. But in general, there's a sense of taking pride and ownership for the things that he says he's going to do and following through with action. So that makes that goes, I think that goes hand in hand also with the sexual containment, because that allows me to know that I'm safe in my feminine. I don't need to step in because he's not going to forget. I can rest back because I have repeated evidence that it's safe to do so, because he's got an eye on everything that's going on, like an
Hmm.
oversight. Yeah. And that goes into also, I would say, provision, providership.
What does that mean?
I think men massively misunderstand providership, and probably many women do as well. because they think it's just about what you said earlier about having the money in the bank. But really, it's so much more than that. It's like there's having the money in the bank, and then there is making sure you have the conditions to feel safe to soften as a woman. And that's energy.
Mm.
That's the that's thinking about if there's food left in the fridge, like when you went off on your retreat, for example, you made sure that everything in the house was provided for. Everything I didn't need to overextend myself into my masculinity because you taking care of me. Like there was meat in the freezer and there was, garrafons of water and there's like making sure everything is in place. So it's the care and the consideration that comes
Mhm,
with that.
mhm.
And even just the, I don't know, how does it feel as a man? I'm so curious like how it feels as a man to provide. Say if I just say that, oh, I love a glass of water, or I'd love XYZ, and I'm asking you for it in a way that's you're able to receive it. Like, what does it feel like?
Hmm. I don't know, it feels like an opportunity for me to show you how much I honor you and how much I honor the feminine in general. So it's like, I think there is like a deep need in men, if they're healthy, to wanting to give and see a woman blossom, right? Um, and I don't know if this is like every man. I think not everyone would understand it that way, but I think there is something in our nature, if we're really connected to ourselves, that wants us to express that.
Hmm.
And it can be in the form of something simple like a glass of water. It can be in the form of maybe also like something different. I think a lot of men would be confused if you say it like that. If you would say like, "Oh, babe, can you bring me a glass of water?" It could make you feel like, okay, now I'm serving you, and some men would be triggered by that.
Okay.
There's a part of me that is maybe a little bit like, of course I would do that, but that's for me not even the provision that I feel is really relevant.
Hmm.
Like the real provision that I'm talking about is genuinely caring about everything being there that you feel good. And it can be very small things like a glass of water. It can also be things like I want to make sure that you don't have to work.
Hmm.
And it's a strong need inside of myself where I'm like, I want to be in a position where if you decide to write a book for the next 2 years, that you can do it. And not because it makes me, I, I, I don't know what it does to me. It just makes me feel like that's what I want to be able to
Hmm.
do in this world.
Hmm.
And it's always been in me.
To see me as a woman, just to be able to embrace being a woman without the need to step
You
into.
can lean back and you can do your thing and I can do also my thing. I feel
Yeah.
like I can do my thing with that.
Yeah.
If I would have a woman that is trying to compete with me and is trying to like run up the career ladder and like proving herself,
Mm.
I would immediately put you in a peer-to-peer box.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't see it any different.
Hmm.
And then my competitive instinct comes into play. And you know that part of me that is like at some point being honest with other men in business, I want to run them over.
Mm.
And it's not good for a relationship, obviously.
Mm.
Right? This kind of, and I know how that is to like talk with a woman and it's like this competitive kind of thing.
Mm.
And it's a big turn off.
Hmm.
So it goes in the wrong direction.
But that isn't meaning that there can't be success, right? in
It's more about the dynamic. It's more about the way that women get success.
yeah.
So like if you have a successful business and money's coming in easily, great.
Mhm.
The most important thing for a man, I believe, is that you're happy and you can lean back and you feel
Yeah.
great. But once it gets to a point where you get up, like me sometimes, at 5:30 in the morning and you have to grind and you have to do the work and you have conversations where it's fiery as fuck.
Yeah.
Like you've observed me where you're like, you want to leave the room. I wouldn't find it attractive.
Yeah.
I would feel like, that looks on paper like high value because there's a lot of money coming in, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And it would be not interesting to me personally.
I think we're going into, like, what men now feel is high value with women, and
Yeah.
that's interesting. Maybe we can flow a bit like that. And I feel like I read something somewhere the other day that was like men want a woman that they can, go to war for, not go to war with,
Yeah.
because you're busy fighting, holding so much the pressure of work and providing and doing like all of these things in the day, that the last thing you want is to come home to like a very uh stressed woman.
Mm,
So actually it's like a breath of fresh air for men when women are able
mm,
to relax.
mhm. I think that's I think women don't understand what it does to men. Right? It's really like very often I feel like in business I feel like I love it, but it is like going to war. And I love the war and I love doing these things, but I want to do it so that I can come home and feel like and honestly even connecting to that makes me a little bit emotional because I feel like, wow, uh, this is this is exactly what I want. I want the war and on one side I like that. I want to build something, I want to grow, I want to push and I want the fire of that. But I want to be able to come home and feel like I'm safe somewhere. And very often I feel like men come home and they don't feel safe. It's continuous war
Mm,
nonstop. And you have that, then you don't do it for long.
mhm. And it's sad, isn't it? Because the system is set up in such a way, and all of the conditioning that's there between men and women, um, for women to kind of compete in the workplace, or to compete, being like a 50-50 income, and like,
Mm,
and I'm just thinking about the typical household where they're both gone to work 9 to 5,
most people have to.
and then they come home and then there's a fight over who's gonna do the dishes or do the whatever, so there's not harmony. There's not like
Mm.
a natural balance in the home for most people.
Yeah. The question is like, why does that happen? It's just for most people, it's not possible that one person pays for all bills.
Hmm.
It's extremely hard. So I don't really have an answer for how you can solve that if you are in this situation, to be honest, because it's just understandable that a woman, that if you worked as a woman for 8 hours a day in a job that you maybe don't like, that doesn't
Hmm.
really pay enough to feel amazing, even if it does, you
Yeah.
come back home and both people are stressed.
Yeah.
It's a completely different dynamic.
Yeah, that's what I'm just thinking. It's like, it's like, okay, put more pressure on women to like, okay, you have to go to work. You have to go
Yeah.
to work, and
And
you
then you
have to
have to
pay
be
50-50,
relaxed.
and then you've got to be relaxed and soft and all of that stuff. So
Yeah,
like
it is. Yeah,
it's
sorry.
really
But
tough.
that's why I asked the question before
Yeah.
about like, yes, the finances they don't matter, but they do matter
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
They do. It does. I mean, it
They
does.
matter for these reasons. They matter for the reason that a woman can be a woman and a man can feel like he can go all in and be
Hmm.
provider
Hmm.
and focus on what he does well,
Yeah.
typically. Yeah.
Yeah. So provide with the provision one's a big topic. And it's also like triggering for many people, I believe, because there's also stories for women that, you know, if if a man's going to provide for you, it's not safe. You got to keep your exit strategy there.
Yeah.
You got to have like a secret stash for just in case he like runs off with another woman or something. So there's a lot of mistrust around
Both sides.
provision and also, right, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Like, how often have I heard men saying she's a gold digger and
yeah,
she's just here for the money? Like all the people that I know who are like successful, they also run into these issues eventually.
hmm,
If you're just dating blindly and they're just also
yeah,
not clear on what kind of values they're looking for in a woman.
hmm, yeah, and that comes into and not like probably the most important. I don't know if I can really value them in in that way, but devotion is a huge um, value in a man. But I don't believe that we get to see that straight away. That's something that you just feel. I felt in my body that through the way that you held yourself, the way that you treated me, you had the capacity for devotion. But it's not something that is that a man is going to give away straight away, or a woman shouldn't really be giving away straight away. It's something that is sacred, that is like, yes, I have the capacity for this to
Mm.
grow into that. And that's something that I think that women really value. That's what I know every single woman in my community is looking for, a man with the capacity for this evolved, like divine union blueprint
Mm.
of, you know, of union. And I'm trying to think what it was that let me know that you had that capacity. And I think that this is where the spiritual work comes in, because it was just a felt sense in my body of something ancient in you that I recognized. Something within you that was a counterpart to something in me. And it's a little bit fluffy, but I don't really know how else to describe it.
Would you say that you can see that in other things that are important to the person? Because you can see it in both
Yeah.
sides. It's like I think when I think of devotion, it's devotion, of course, to the other person and to what we share together.
Mhm,
But I think it's a general capacity that people need to have,
mhm,
and I think they either have cultivated that, and there's so much overflow from what they do that they
mhm.
can bring it into a relationship, or they don't.
Yeah, true.
What I see very often is like people just exhaust their capacity of devoting themselves to a relationship because of their business,
Mm,
which is definitely true for me. Maybe you would not call it devotion, maybe it's dedication or it's like a commitment or it's like I think it is devotion if you do it from the right place.
yeah.
Also business.
What do you mean you exhaust the capacity?
You almost feel, and I had that for a long time. I almost feel like there is just I just can't devote more of myself to anything.
Mm, mhm,
But it also comes from a place of um feeling, and this is a common thing that men struggle with. I give so much and there's nothing that comes back because men give and give and give. And I think if as a man you're truly connected to yourself, you realize like in that process of giving, in the process of devoting yourself, that's where your energy actually is.
mhm,
But it is very often like misunderstood and it feels like how would I where should I take that energy from? To devote myself to more, give myself to more
mm,
and go in deeper and let
mhm,
myself in even deeper.
mhm.
That is where I think a lot of men and myself included feel sometimes like we're just exhausted. I just can't. But when you do it and you cultivate it, you realize that you have. you get the energy back from doing that.
Yeah. But if you have had a series of being in relationships where you are in the in devotion, the devoted one, you're giving, but the other person is actually taking, then of course you're going to believe that a relationship's only going to require more of you and not actually um give you
Mm,
also like in reciprocity. Because like one thing that we talk about a lot is how it feels to actually be met with intensity, but also like devotion, to actually both be pouring into the relationship 50-50 in different ways. Like it's that in that situation, you're never going to be depleted.
yeah, I'm trying to think back to old relationships and where I felt sometimes like there was a dynamic of giving and believing that it's devotion,
Hmm.
but it feels like it's coming from a different place.
Hmm.
And I think that is what exhausts you very quickly and burns you out.
Yeah.
And also the other person can't really take it. Or they take it, but they can't really do anything with it.
Hmm.
And then there's just no, you don't complement each other.
Hmm.
It's just like a taking and giving, and it's back and forth, but there's nothing bigger that gets created out of it.
Hmm.
Full devotion would actually feel like you devote yourself to it and something way bigger grows out of it. If it's giving and taking, it feels like transaction,
Hmm.
taking, action. Even if it's 50-50, it doesn't feel like it's getting bigger.
True.
It's just always like empty in the middle.
True. A lot of the women in my community are over functioning. Like they're massively over functioning in relationships, whether that's emotionally or spiritually or practically
Hmm.
speaking. So I think that the topic of devotion is important because I think many women bring in their devotion and they bring in their nurturing, or they bring in even their, their capability to do things, and just feel like completely sucked dry
Hmm.
of their energy. So they want to know how to. They want to know that they can trust that this man has a capacity for devotion too.
Yeah. I think that you almost need to test a man a little bit in that and give them a chance
Hmm.
and space
Yeah,
to invest. And
true.
I think I did it with you just as well. I was like, okay, let's see if I don't do anything here, which is like almost like hard when you're by yourself and you just take care of everything and you do your stuff just as a woman, like for you too, you were doing your things. You didn't need anyone.
Mm,
And then you just see like, okay, I'm just intentionally not gonna do it and see like what happens. And then you allow the other person to come in and invest. And then the beautiful thing is if there's an opportunity for the other person, they actually like it. They
mm,
actually enjoy it. I feel like very often women don't allow the man to even take in the space to being their man and providing the way that they would like to.
hmm.
And that's mainly because women probably are more aware and they need to be more patient with guys sometimes to give him that chance.
Yes, and to not get it perfect all of the time as well. Like, you know,
I mean, what's perfect? It's just like, yes, it's the expectation of like it needing to be exactly the way that you
yeah,
get in your
yes.
mind.
Control. It's
Very,
control.
I had that in the beginning. Well, I would expect it to work like this. And I was like,
With us.
huh, she does it completely different, but who knows? Maybe it's way better that way. So let's just,
What
I don't
specifically?
know if it's like small things like taking care of like cooking something. By now you took it over completely, but in the beginning it was like small little steps. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't do that. Like there's like the first rush, I wouldn't do it like that.
Mm,
But then there's like the other voice that came back. I was like, well, maybe it's actually better that way. Let's just see. Let's be. let's get surprised because I want to give you the space to bring yourself in,
Mm,
right? I don't know if this is manipulative or anything, but it's more like I feel like that dynamic is also something you can the culture and dynamic is something that can be created.
mhm,
But if it's just one-sided all the time and you're like going in as like I'm gonna do everything,
mhm.
you make it hard for the other person.
Yeah,
Extremely hard.
absolutely. And many women in also in the community, they want to be mothers
Mhm.
and they're in the late 30s or 40s. And so there is a real sense of urgency and time limit to that. So
Mm.
so often that makes them more in that energy
Makes me faster. Come on.
yes, and so and not allowing the space, right? But I always think it's a bit like a dance. Like we were dancing salsa. We're doing salsa every day. We've not done it today yet. We need to do it. Um, and it's not that one person's passive all the time or that one person's always doing all the time. It's a dance. It's a rhythm. And I think a lot of women are afraid to be disappointed. They're terrified of being disappointed
Mm,
again. So they would rather take control and lead than risk feeling
mhm,
rejected, abandoned, betrayed, disappointed by men.
mm,
But at the same time, not able to really feel like a woman and receive it. Like on a deep level, that's what women really want.
mm.
So I guess that's another thing of high value is a man's leadership
Yeah,
skills. It's
yeah,
like his ability to generally lead the relationship.
mhm, yeah.
But you can't know if he can do that if you're not able to give him a chance either.
If you don't allow him to take in a driver's seat, how will you figure out if he can drive?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I will use an example of a lady in my community
Mhm.
who sent a message in the other day. So she was going on I think it was like a second or third date with a guy who'd invited her to lunch, but she she was freaking out about the fact that he might not pay for the lunch. He might not um, provide in the ways that she knows that she wants. So instead, she suggested to go and have a picnic to avoid the risk of feeling disappointed.
Mhm,
So this is an example of how he's trying to step up in leadership and to provide and to step in like as the man, and yet it feels like she's not. That's an example of how a woman maybe is not able to receive.
mhm.
um
Interesting.
yeah.
What I find interesting about that is like looking back at like my like past relationships, what we have experienced and so on, is like things like that I would have not even imagined something like that to be happening. So what I mean by that, I think is if as a woman you think about that already, I think there's a high chance that there's not that leadership skill that far developed in a man.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
true.
otherwise it would just feel like, okay, I just feel like he's got it.
Hmm.
And if you don't feel like he's got it, then and you start like already like planning for like not being disappointed, I think it's too late,
Hmm.
to be honest. Like there is something in you, there's like a knowingness in women of whether you can trust someone or not.
Hmm.
And if you don't listen to that, I think it will never ever go in the right direction.
Yeah. Hmm.
But I think women are extremely tuned to that and they like you have that in you.
True. And then it's just being able to differentiate between our programming and our fears and our old conditioning
Mhm.
and experiences, and then actually the intuition, which is always the job of women, is to be able to know what's intuition and what is trigger,
Mhm.
because sometimes they feel similar, especially if you've had a series of guys who, yeah, you just want to split everything 50-50. If you're trying to change and rewire that in yourself, takes a little bit of um a process.
Yeah.
So, what would you? We've spoken a lot about men, and there's probably stuff that I've missed. Maybe we'll come back to it. But when we were meeting and when we first met, what did you see in me that would differentiate me to be like high value or low value?
Mhm. I think it's a couple of these things as you mentioned, around men too. There's some things that are different because I'm not looking for someone to lead, obviously. But, the more that we talked about it, I remember when we had our conversation about this the first time, I said, "It's only 3 things. It's very simple. It's just nurturing, fun, and hot." Right? That's honestly what I said in the beginning. Now that we talk about it, that might be the surface level, high value traits of someone that you want to date or that you want to even give a chance to that into your life. And you find like physically attractive,
Hmm.
you find them funny, and there's also like a nurturing kind of energy. There's like a feminine energy that is surface level. But if I'm actually serious about it, then I want to have a woman in my life who's sexually contained.
Hmm.
And it's hard to find that.
Hmm.
And that was
And
like,
not repressed either,
and at the
right?
same time, not repressed. Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to find that. I think, I mean, I don't know. It's rare, I would say. Um, Especially if the surface level values that I just talked about
Hmm.
are checked, then it's hard to find repressed, which is super funny and is hot.
Hmm.
It doesn't work together, I think. Um, but someone who's like, I would always check out their Instagram and see like how they present themselves, how they show up, and so on. Um, but then also like how you carry yourself. And I was not aware of that until I met you. How important it is that there is more pacing before it goes to the bedroom,
Hmm.
right? So I thought that to be honest, I thought there must be something wrong if that happens, and I fucked up.
Do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Well, which part?
About the pacing.
Yeah, so I was not used to going on a date and kissing each other goodbye, and that was it. I know I heard of guys who said like, "Oh, I was on a date and yeah, we left him with that and we're gonna meet in the park tomorrow." And I was like, "You're a fucking loser." That's how I thought for a long time.
Wow.
Again, until then. And people were telling me these stories of like, yeah, I think it's like 3 dates and da 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 da, all these rules. I was like, if you're the right guy, woman will break the rules for you. That was my assumption. But I probably attracted the wrong woman. I mean, I know that I attracted the wrong woman. So there was something in that to learn for me too. And I think it's because I had a very long phase before I met you where I didn't go on dates, where I didn't do anything. I just completely like put sexuality away out of my life, be it with myself or with someone else. I was just not ready for anything. And I think that healed a lot of stuff for me.
Hmm.
And I think that is the foundation. And that was a requirement for me being able to receive that and get to meet you. And then I realized like, oh, this is actually interesting. I can really get to know you first. And it allowed me to really see different layers in a woman that I would have not seen before. And I was also better at assessing whether you are contained or not. This is something for longer or not.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how I would describe it without going into too much detail.
And I'm just so curious about that because what did it tell you about how I saw myself as a woman?
I think every man, if they're not traumatized or something, they they do feel more attraction to a woman that is contained, like we would maybe as men not call it like that, but like a woman who has so much self-respect that she's like, I'm not open to everyone.
Hmm.
No, right? But at the same time, she is not repressed. She's like, if you're with her, she's completely different.
Hmm.
And this is like the most interesting and most attractive and most arousing thing that a man can experience because it's like she's super close to everyone else, but you and me together, it's fire, right? And there's no question about that.
Yeah, yeah,
And that means there's like a lot of like control over your sexuality.
yeah. And also like expression, like a exploration
Mhm.
as a woman and probably as a man is like, in order to become contained of your own sexuality, you have to first have explored your own sexual energy and learned ways to healthily work with that energy. So it's like not a fear of it, but like a going deep into it um and master it. It's a mastery of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that's really helpful for women to hear because many women feel, sucked into the liberation of the oppression and they get stuck in that place also of like wild,
Mhm.
unadulterated like
Yeah.
expression.
You want that in the relationship, yes. Right,
Mhm.
100%. Like you should be able to lift it in the relationship, bring it in, the playfulness, the
Yeah.
fun. But if that's available and accessible so easily, then it doesn't have value anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It becomes cheap.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's like almost a little bit embarrassing. Like I'm like somewhere in the back of my mind, there's always like also this thought of like, would I want to meet my family with this girl? And then it's just like a thought of like, oh my God, I won't be embarrassed. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's actually a good question to ask
That
yourself.
is a
Like,
really good question. Yes.
because sometimes men are like, oh, she's hot. And then you think about like, could I have her sit with my family on the table and we have dinner? Oh my God, I would not. No way. Right. A lot of men would have to admit like, oh my
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking it's so funny, like we all go through phases and I've definitely been in the phase, the wild expression of, of like posting online my videos of me dancing crazy and things like, you know, photography of the naked body in nature in the name of the feminine, of like a freedom of the wildness that it is to be a woman.
God.
And I don't regret any of those stages, but at the same time, I can see how um, distorted it is now. That it's not. Um, we're not meant to stay in that place.
Mm,
It's a pendulum swing
yeah,
of, like I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm gonna be like available to everything, and I go just open, too open, and then the containment comes. I think after that for women.
yeah,
Because I have conversations with women sometimes who are still in this very working with erotic energy and expression and stuff, and they believe that I'm talking about repress like containment is actually coming into shrinking and
yeah.
dulling yourself down for a man and all
It's
of this
pretty much
stuff.
like commitment, right?
Mm.
A lot of like there's a lot of like with these free love people. I mean, I was like very open. I was like, oh, maybe not a relationship is perfect. Maybe I need to have like 5 women at the same time. Um, it's like this non-commitment that makes you feel like you have freedom.
Mhm.
Actually, it's the opposite. Like full commitment, full dedication and devotion to one partner, that's full freedom and that's where you can explore all these
Mhm.
things. But you will never feel free by trying to find like everything in non-commitment
Yeah,
because you're nowhere for real.
it's true. That's one thing that has been mind blowing for me through our connection is how much wilder and free I can feel through commitment, like, even more than I knew before. And I think that that's something that many women who enjoy their freedom and their expression like could
Mm,
benefit to learn
Definitely
in the right connection, of course.
afraid of opening up towards one man and
Hmm.
sharing that. Or I think that a man cannot carry it or
Yeah,
yeah.
and not every man can,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
not every woman can open
Yeah.
in this way. So, okay, so you had a hot, fun, nurturing, sexually contained.
Hmm.
What else is a high value woman?
I think I think a lot of it comes down to very basic things like feeling like she would be able to be a mom.
Is that basic?
Like it is basic in terms of it's in our evolution that we scan for that.
Mm,
It's like, will she be a good mom? Will she be responsible? Will she be someone that I can trust with a big mission that we're on together?
hmm.
Um, and there's a lot that comes into that. So it's
Yeah.
like the nurturing energy. There is, yeah, it's responsibility. It's I also want to, in the process, still be deeply respected by the woman.
Hmm.
But I find it hard to describe it. It's nurturing energy, like the potential to being a great mom
Hmm.
at the same time. The mom of my kids. Right. And that is I saw that in you, also in stories you were telling me, but also then when you were around kids. When I saw that I was like, wow, okay, okay, good. She's worked with kids before. She is great with kids and she's a dog and she can take care of the dog. I
Mm,
know that's something that women look for in a man too. I think women are always more interested in a guy who can take care of a pet because at least he can do
yeah, yeah.
that. But to a certain degree, men do that too.
That's interesting.
It's like,
Yeah,
okay, you can take care of a pet, you probably can take care of maybe
right?
high chances you can take care of human being.
And that was the whole process when I took in Wolfie on my own. Everyone was telling me, "Oh my gosh, don't take a husky. You're on your own
Mm,
in on the other side of the world, living in Mexico. Like it's a lot." And he was a lot. But I was it actually as an example of devotion. I was like, how can I embody the archetype of the mother before I'm waiting for like life
mhm,
to confirm it to me? Like I know that's inside of me and I'm gonna actualize it
mhm.
now in the way that I can now. So
Another thing that comes to mind is there was one side, it was like, was Wolfie,
mm,
but on the other side, it was also like when we met pretty early on, I got really sick.
yeah, you did.
I felt terrible.
Bless you.
And then in that time, you were getting me back on my feet. Like it was not like that I was like there all the time, but I saw like, okay, I got up in the morning and she made me then coffee with all that stuff and I drank the coffee and it felt way better. I was like, oh my God, I need to do the same thing when I'm gone. Um,
I brought you that little pack of
yeah,
with the animal.
yeah, all these things she brought to me and stuff like that. I felt like, wow, okay. There's like this care and there's like this nurturing energy. So I think the nurturing energy is actually what covers that too.
Yeah,
And at the same time, the reason why it's like hot, well, I think you need to be physically attracted to
of
the other
course you
person.
don't want to date your mom. Like if it was just nurturing, it's not.
Yeah, only nurturing would not work. So it needs the hotness on the other
Yeah.
side. Also probably also an evolutionary thing. Um, and then I say fun because I want to be able to have fun and be carefree when I come back from my war
Mm,
and feel like, okay, things that can be relaxed. Not everything needs to be serious all the time. Something that needs to get me out of my head sometimes.
hmm
And that's why I love how crazy you are in my head.
You love how crazy I am.
Yeah.
How am I crazy? You don't want to tell.
Like there's always something new that you didn't expect. And yeah, I don't know, like I mean from hearing in the morning like your funny music that you're playing while you do your coffee enema, like full volume all the way up that I can't even have a meeting, up to like your funny movements in the morning that you do. So there's a lot of like quirks and
Yeah.
funny things. And it's like this youthful, playful energy
Mm,
that men sometimes lose in the process of like building their empire and pushing for something.
yeah.
We want to have the chance to bring our inner child into the world too sometimes. And that is what kind of brings it up.
And I think this is such an important thing because a high value as a woman is not that you are 20 or 20 up to between 20 to 25. It's the energy, right? We've had conversations about this for men, at least from your perspective. It is the vitality and the playfulness and
Mhm.
the lightness that comes from often that younger part.
Yeah.
And a lot of women lose that connection because life, when they had to be so serious, they had to be the only man in their own life.
Mm.
So they, it takes a lot for them to even have access to it.
Yeah.
But it's not that you need to look like a 25-year-old in order for,
It's the energy.
yeah. And that's
Yeah.
been really healing for me to um receive and
Mm.
to realize. And that inner playfulness and radiance and craziness and like being 1,000 different women is cultivated through inner work,
Mhm.
not through like plastic surgery and all of
Yeah.
that. Is through the work we do in the community, the work that women do together.
Hmm. One thing I want to say to that is like, as much as a lot of men would say, like, you want a young woman does not give you all the values that I was just talking about because they usually have not cultivated any level of like nurturing energy. There's none of that there. And they're usually sexually not contained.
Mhm,
Right? So like these things are definitely not there. It's like a big part of what I would say makes a woman high value. It's just not established yet.
mhm,
And it's totally fine, but it's not something that I'm attracted to and not something that I would want because it's, well, there's too many downsides.
mhm,
So it's really more about your energy, that you're alive, that you feel good with yourself, so you
mhm,
can still be fun and that feels good. Like it doesn't matter if you're 40 or if you're 50 or if you're 60, you're still attractive.
mhm. Yeah. Is there anything else?
I think I think that's what I got.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll think of some others. Maybe we'll have to do another conversation on this topic. Particularly, I think about like how how men like to be loved and how women like to be loved
Yeah.
and what they want from each other that somehow it's not happening, right? And how we can learn to better receive it and communicate it and
Mm.
have like harmonious connection. I think that would be cool for another conversation. But yeah, let us know in the community in the comments how you found the episode, how you found our conversation, and if there's anything that we spoke about that you guys would like to go deeper with. You can send us requests and we're happy to run with it.
Yep.
Thanks, babe. Well,
All
I
right.
think that was quite a long time.
1 hour.
Oh my
Exactly
God,
1 hour.
really?